My wife said, "I sold your little cabin for $60,000. Her family cheered, calling it a smart move. She looked at me and said, "The money for this dinner? It's from the cabin sale. At least one meal is covered." I just stayed quiet. Then the buyer's lawyer called, screaming, "Why are the authorities at our office?" Something didn't feel right. I'd been home from my overseas deployment for exactly 47 minutes when Jessica made her announcement. Her parents, Richard and Linda, were there. Her brother Kyle and his girlfriend Madison. Everyone dressed up, expensive wine flowing, catered dinner spread across the table, easily $800 worth of food. "Before we eat," Jessica said, standing with her wine glass raised, "I have news about Mark's little cabin obsession." Her parents leaned forward. Kyle was already grinning like he knew what was coming. "I sold it," Jessica announced. $60,000. Closed last week while Mark was overseas. The room erupted. Her mother squealed. Her father raised his glass and called her brilliant. Kyle high-fived her across the table. Jessica pointed at the elaborate dinner. "The money for this dinner? It's from the cabin sale. At least one meal is covered." She looked at me, smiled, waiting for me to say something. I just stayed quiet. Then my phone started buzzing. Thomas Chen, the buyer's attorney. Third call in 5 minutes. I stepped outside to answer. "Mr. Martinez?" His voice was shaking. "Why are the authorities at our office? Federal agents are asking about restricted property sales and fraud. They won't tell me anything except that you need to call them immediately." Something didn't feel right. Actually, something felt very, very wrong, because I knew exactly what Jessica had done, and I knew exactly what was about to happen. I stepped outside to take the call. "Mr. Martinez," Thomas Chen's voice was shaking. "Why are there federal agents at my office? They're asking about restricted property sales and fraud. They won't tell me anything except that you need to call them immediately." Another text came through. "Agent Rivera, the woman who handled my security clearance reviews. Aware of situation. Stay calm. Keep subjects at location. Team en route." I walked back inside. Jessica was showing everyone the paperwork, laughing about how she'd practiced my signature for 3 days to make it perfect. Then I saw the headlights. 3 black SUVs turning into the driveway. Game over. I'm a software contractor, 34 years old, specializing in defense systems. My security clearance is TSSCI, top secret, sensitive, compartmented information. I work on things I can't talk about with people who don't exist in public records. 3 years ago, I bought a cabin in the mountains outside Colorado Springs. 2 acres, small structure, deck overlooking Shadow Mountain Lake. I paid $47,000 cash, money I'd saved from freelance contracts before I got into defense work. It wasn't fancy. 1 bedroom, kitchen that barely fit 2 people, wood-burning stove. But it was mine, a place to decompress after months of working in secure facilities where I couldn't even bring my phone inside. Jessica hated it from day one. "It's 2 hours away," she'd complain. "There's no cell service. What's the point?" The point was silence, peace, a place where nobody needed anything from me. But here's what Jessica never understood, never bothered to learn. When you work on classified defense projects and you own property, that property gets registered with federal databases. It's part of the background check process. The government needs to know where you are, what you own, what could be used as leverage against you. My cabin wasn't just my property. It was a registered federal asset. Any sale, any transfer of ownership required special authorization from the Defense Security Service. I'd explained this to Jessica multiple times. I even left a folder before I deployed, red folder labeled important, read before any property decisions. She never opened it. 4 months ago, I got assigned to a project in Germany, military communication systems. I'd be gone 16 weeks, living in a secure facility, limited contact with home. Before I left, I told Jessica again, "Do not touch the cabin. If something happens and you need emergency access, there's a number in the red folder. Call them first." She'd nodded. "Yeah, sure. Have fun with your spy stuff." She thought it was a joke. My work, my clearance, the rules that came with it. It wasn't a joke. I should have seen it coming. Jessica's family had always treated me like an ATM with a pulse. Her parents, Richard and Linda, were drowning in debt from bad investments. Her brother Kyle had burned through 3 different business ventures in 5 years, all funded by loans from our joint account that never got repaid. Family dinners were always the same. Richard would make backhanded comments about my work. Must be nice sitting in an office all day clicking buttons. Linda would talk about how Jessica deserved better, a bigger house, nicer vacations, a husband who was actually around. Kyle would just ask for money, directly, no shame. "Hey Mark, I'm starting this new thing. Just need $10K to get it off the ground." Jessica would look at me expectantly, like saying no would make me the asshole. I said said yes more times than I should have, kept the peace, kept Jessica happy. But the cabin? That was mine. My money, my escape. They called it my man cave obsession. Said I was wasting money that could go toward a better house for Jessica, toward helping her family get back on their feet. I should have divorced her years ago. The dinner party was supposed to be a welcome home celebration. I landed at Denver International at 6:47 a.m. after 16 hours of travel, exhausted, jet-lagged, wanting nothing but a shower and my own bed. Jessica's text came through while I was waiting for my luggage. Come straight to my parents' house. We're doing a welcome home dinner, 7 p.m. Don't be late. No, I missed you. No, glad you're safe. Just orders. I should have gone home. Should have checked my mail, my accounts, my property records. Instead, I drove to Richard and Linda's house in Westminster. Got there at 7:14 p.m. The driveway was full. Jessica's car, Kyle's truck, even his girlfriend, Madison's Honda. Inside, the house smelled like expensive catering, not Linda's usual potluck style, real catering. Beef tenderloin, lobster risotto, bottles of wine that cost more than $50 each. Mark! Jessica hugged me like we were in a movie. Performance affection. You made it! Everyone was dressed up. Richard in a suit, Linda in pearls. Kyle had actually combed his hair. What's the occasion? I asked. You'll see. Jessica was practically vibrating with excitement. We sat down, poured wine. Richard gave a toast about family and success. Then, Jessica stood up. Before we eat, I have an announcement. That's when she told them about the cabin. The applause went on for 30 seconds, maybe longer. Jessica was beaming. Linda was crying happy tears. Richard was already talking about investment strategies. 60,000 is a great starting point, Richard said. If we put it in the right funds, I said quietly. Everyone looked at me. First words I'd spoken since walking in. Well, obviously this money is for the family, Linda said. Jessica did all the work. The least you can do is share it properly. Kyle laughed. Dude, you were never going to use that place anyway. Jessica did you a favor. How exactly did you sell it? I asked Jessica. She pulled out a folder. I handled everything. Listed it with a realtor in April. Had 3 offers by May. Closed last week. The money's already in my personal account. Your personal account? Our joint account has your name on it. I didn't want to complicate things with taxes. And the deed? The transfer paperwork? All signed and filed. She was so proud of herself. I even practiced your signature. Took me 3 days to get it perfect, but look, she handed me the documents. My signature. Forged. On every page. The notary didn't question it? I asked. I used one of those mobile notaries. She barely looked at it, just stamped and left. Kyle was laughing. That's my sister, always thinking ahead. My phone buzzed. Thomas Chen again. Then another number I didn't recognize. Then Agent Rivera. I need to take these, I said. Can it wait? Jessica said. We're celebrating. No. I stepped onto the back patio, called Agent Rivera first. Mr. Martinez. Her voice was professional, calm. Are you at the residence in Westminster? Yes. How did you? We've been monitoring the situation since the deed transfer was flagged in our system 3 days ago. The buyer's attorney contacted us this morning when discrepancies were found in the federal property database. We've already dispatched a team. Jessica forged my signature. We're aware. We have the documents. The notary has been interviewed. She's cooperating. The buyers are innocent parties. They'll be refunded through the restitution process. What happens now? We need you to keep everyone at that location. Can you do that? How long? We're 12 minutes out. I hung up and called Thomas Chen back. Mr. Martinez, thank God. The agents won't tell me anything except that the property was sold illegally. They're talking about wire fraud, forgery. The cabin is registered as federal property because of my security clearance. Any sale requires authorization from the Defense Security Service. Jessica didn't have that authorization. She forged my signature. Silence. Then, oh my God, we did a title search, but there was nothing. It's in a restricted database. You wouldn't have access. Are we liable? Agent Rivera says you'll be made whole through restitution. You're victims here, not perpetrators. What about your wife? She's about to be arrested. I hung up and went back inside. Jessica was showing everyone the forged documents, passing them around like party favors. See how perfect that signature is? She said, pointing. I watched YouTube tutorials, practiced on scratch paper for hours. That's dedication, Madison said. That's fraud, I said. Everyone turned to look at me. Excuse me? Jessica's smile faltered. You forged my signature on federal documents to illegally sell registered property. That's wire fraud and regular fraud and probably about 6 other crimes. Richard stood up. Now wait just a minute. Did you know the cabin was registered with the Defense Security Service? I asked Jessica. What? No. Why would it be? Because I work on classified projects. All my property is registered with federal databases. You can't sell it without special authorization. I told you this multiple times. You never said, I left you a red folder, labeled important. Did you read it? Her face went pale. You didn't think at all. That's when the headlights appeared in the driveway. 3 black SUVs, 6 people got out, 5 in suits, 1 in tactical gear. Agent Rivera led the group. They knocked. Richard opened the door. Richard Martinez? Agent Rivera held up her badge. I'm Special Agent Rivera with the Defense Security Service. We need to speak with Jessica Martinez. The room went silent. Madison started backing toward the kitchen. Kyle's face went white. Jessica set down her wine glass. I'm Jessica. Jessica Martinez. You're under arrest for wire fraud, forgery, and unauthorized sale of federal property. The wine glass slipped from Jessica's hand, shattered on the hardwood floor, red wine spreading like blood. What? No, this is a mistake. Please turn around and place your hands behind your back. Mark, Jessica looked at me. Tell them it was our property. It was my property, I said quietly, registered as a federal asset. You had no authority to sell it. But I'm your wife. That doesn't give you the right to forge my signature and commit fraud. Agent Rivera cuffed her, right there, in front of her whole family. Linda started screaming. You can't do this. She didn't know. Ma'am, ignorance of the law isn't a defense. Another agent was photographing everything, the documents, the catered dinner, the celebration itself. I need everyone to remain calm and seated. Richard tried to argue, started talking about his connections, his lawyer, how this was all a misunderstanding. The agent in tactical gear told him to sit down. He sat. They took Jessica out first, led her to one of the SUVs in handcuffs. She was crying, mascara running, begging me to fix this. Then Agent Rivera turned to the rest of the family. We'll need to speak with all of you. This is now a criminal investigation into wire fraud and conspiracy. Conspiracy? Kyle's voice cracked. We didn't do anything. You knew the money came from a property sale that wasn't authorized. You celebrated it. You benefited from it. That makes you accessories. We thought Mark was okay with it, Linda said. Did you ask him? Silence. When did you find out about the sale? Agent Rivera asked Richard. Tonight, at dinner. And you weren't concerned that Mark wasn't present for a major financial decision? We just assumed. You assumed Jessica had the right to sell property that wasn't hers. That assumption is going to cost you. The investigation moved fast. By the next morning, federal forensic accountants were going through every account Jessica and I had ever shared. They found what I'd suspected for years: systematic theft. $47,000 transferred to Richard and Linda's account in 2019, listed as loan for investment opportunity, never repaid. $23,000 to Kyle in 2020, business startup costs. Business never started. $18,500 to Linda in 2021, medical emergency. No medical records. $31,000 to Richard in 2022, bridge loan for house repairs. House never repaired, over and over. Transfers labeled as loans or emergencies or family help. None of it ever paid back. Total, $214,000 over 5 years. Jessica's personal account showed something else. She'd been siphoning money from our joint account monthly. $500 here, $200 there. Small enough that I wouldn't notice immediately. Large enough that it added up. The forensic accountant, Margaret Liu, called me on day 3. Mr. Martinez, I've been doing this for 17 years. This is one of the most systematic cases of spousal financial abuse I've seen. Your wife and her family have been using you as a personal bank. Can you prove it? Already have. The documentation is airtight. Every transfer, every account, every lie, it's all here. The charges came fast. Jessica, wire fraud, forgery, unauthorized sale of federal property, identity theft, federal charges, 4 to 7 years if convicted. Richard, receiving stolen property, conspiracy to commit wire fraud, 2 to 4 years. Linda, same charges as Richard. Kyle, receiving stolen property. He flipped immediately, agreed to testify against everyone in exchange for probation. Madison, his girlfriend, left him the day the charges were announced. Smart woman. The arraignment was surreal. Jessica stood in front of the judge in an orange jumpsuit, crying, begging for bail. Her lawyer, a overworked public defender named Gary Stevens, tried to argue she was a flight risk. The prosecution, Assistant U.S. Attorney Rachel Webb, wasn't having it. Your Honor, the defendant systematically defrauded her husband for years. She forged his signature on federal documents. She celebrated the crime with her family and used the proceeds to throw a party. She has shown zero remorse. We request she be held without bail. Bail denied. Richard and Linda got bail, $50,000 each. They had to mortgage their house to pay it, the house they'd wanted to fix up with my money. The divorce was filed within a week. My attorney, David Park, specialized in high-asset divorce with fraud components. He'd handled cases where one spouse systematically stole from the other. "This is going to be fast," David said. "She has no defense. The fraud is documented. The criminal charges undermine any claim she has to shared assets. You're getting everything." "What about her family?" "They're cooperating witnesses now. Well, Kyle is. Richard and Linda are fighting it, but they'll lose. The money trail is too clear." The divorce hearing was 3 weeks later. Jessica appeared via video from the detention center. She looked hollow, gray. Nothing like the woman who'd smiled while showing off her forgery. The judge reviewed the evidence: bank records, transfer histories, the forged deed, the federal charges. "Mrs. Martinez, do you have anything to say?" Jessica looked at the camera. At me. "I'm sorry. I didn't know it would. I thought I was helping." "You thought you were helping by stealing from your husband and forging his signature?" "My family needed. Your family's needs don't justify fraud." The judge closed the file. "Divorce granted. All assets to Mr. Martinez. Mrs. Martinez is barred from any claim to shared property or retirement accounts. This court finds her guilty of marital asset dissipation through criminal activity." Gavel down. Done. The criminal trials took 4 months. Jessica pled guilty to avoid trial. The evidence was overwhelming. 4 years in federal prison, restitution of $274,000, the $60,000 from the cabin, plus the $214,000 stolen over the years. Richard and Linda fought it, went to trial. The jury took 3 hours to convict them both, 2 years each in federal prison. Joint restitution obligation. Kyle got probation and community service for flipping. He's working at a call center now, lives in a studio apartment. Madison blocked him on everything. The buyers, Tom and Jennifer Chen, got their $60,000 back within 30 days. They sent me a thank you card. It felt surreal. And the cabin? The federal government upgraded it as part of the restitution package. New security system, biometric locks, motion sensors, cameras, renovated kitchen with new appliances, extended deck with privacy railings, new roof, new windows. They appraised it at $187,000 when they were done. I'm sitting on that deck right now. It's early morning, coffee in hand, watching the sun come up over Shadow Mountain Lake. Complete silence. No Jessica, no Richard telling me I'm wasting my potential. No Linda explaining what I should do with my money. No Kyle asking for loans. Just silence. My phone is inside, turned off. No emergency, no crisis, no one who needs anything from me. Jessica writes me letters from prison, at least one a week. They start apologetic, then turn angry, then loop back to desperate. I didn't mean for this to happen. You ruined my life. Please talk to my lawyer about reducing my sentence. I don't respond. There's nothing to say. The cabin is mine. Really mine. Registered in my name, secured by federal databases, protected by systems that make it impossible for anyone to touch without my explicit authorization. My security clearance was reinstated with a note in my file. Subject was victim of criminal fraud. Investigation cleared subject of any wrongdoing. Recommend increased protections for subject's assets. Sometimes people ask if I feel bad about what happened to Jessica's family. If I think the sentences were too harsh, I don't. They knew what they were doing. Every transfer, every loan that never got repaid, every celebration where they spent my money, they knew. They just thought I'd never find out, or never fight back, or that family meant I'd forgive anything. They were wrong. My wife said, "I sold your little cabin for $60,000. Her family cheered. Then the federal agents walked in, and the only thing I had to do was stay quiet and let them confess their crimes to the people with badges and guns. Sometimes the best revenge is just knowing when to shut up and let justice handle it. I'm going to sit here a while longer. Watch the lake. Drink my coffee. Incomplete. Perfect silence. Nobody asking for anything. Nobody taking anything. Just me, my cabin, and the truth that some things can't be stolen, no matter how hard people try.